and self-discovery. And I am so excited to have the most wonderful guest today. We have Terrie Christine. And I have to tell you, if you're lucky enough to meet a small handful of people that are life altering experiences for you, you are so much better off. And I have to tell you, Terrie is one of those people for me. And she is wonderful. She is an intuitive. And I tell you, she has healed me in many ways, many times. She's inspired me to, she's who inspired me actually to go on and learn more about energy work and to go and become a shaman. And I thank you for that, because had it not been your example and your love, I don't know that I would have done those things. But I'm going to turn the time over to Terrie. I have to tell you, she's been on about every TV show you can imagine. You probably know her for being on the OWN network for, is it Love and Marriage DC?
Love and Marriage DC, yeah.
Love and Marriage DC. She's been on the Housewives
Real Housewives of Potomac.
Yeah. I tell you, you name it, she's done it. She's really just inspirational. And I have to tell you, she has helped hundreds of thousands literally around the world, if not by her own touching, but by touching those that turn around and in tune get to touch other people. And Terrie, I would love it if you would take just a few minutes and tell us a little bit about where you are right now, and then we'll discuss some of your journeys and things that you do, and how we can have our own journey be better because of it.
Yes. Oh, Karen, thank you for having me. I am so grateful to be here. Truly. I've known you how long? I don't even know how long. It's been many, many years when we met years ago. But where I am today, it's very interesting. I just moved my private studio to Bethesda, Maryland. And it's been such a journey. You know, when I started contracting for another location, a wellness center, and then I moved out on my own and still subleased in another space. And now I have my own place where I do private sessions, couple sessions, and small groups, doing group energy clearing. And so that's physically where I am. But emotionally where I am, I feel like I'm at the best I've ever been. I'm grateful for everything. I manifest my heart's desires. I mean, literally, I manifested this place in less than 10 days at the end of my lease on my other location. I living abundantly. I travel. I meet my girlfriend who came in from New Zealand, and we went to New Orleans and Charleston. I went to Australia in February. The year before, I went to Egypt. So I'm really exploring this big blue marble and understanding more in depth, seeing how people live, how they respond, how they act. It really helps me understand my own self and then how people are responding out there. So it's been quite a journey to get here.
Oh, isn't that awesome? I'm just going to change the screen a little bit. There we go.
There we go.
Woo, now I'm big.
You're always big, girl. You are big energy.
I'm big energy. I walk in the room and I fill the room with my energy. Now we got to get you here to Ecuador. Maybe you can come to my retreat in October, and then you can bring your girlfriend. We'll just have a great time.
I love
I tell you what, manifesting. Let's talk about that for a minute, because I don't know that people truly understand what all is involved in manifesting, so that they can manifest the things they want and the things they need, which is definitely going to impact their journey in life.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. I remember being on the audience side years ago before I got to this place. I've been doing this energy work for over 18 years. And being on the listener side and saying, I want to do more of that. And how can I get to that place? And, you know, it's taken me forever. Well, it's more than just thinking it, feeling it, and taking guided action. Now, those are the 3 steps to becoming a master manifester. However, It's about truly believing, right? We have to start with believing that we can do it and trusting beyond everything. So many special manifestation things that I was able to create happened at the 12 o'clock hour. And, I'm like, okay, we got to make this happen. And it literally happened. I manifested getting all of those shows, Good Morning Washington, hundreds of thousands, literally, of other podcasts and telesummits and so on and so forth. But it's really about knowing that you can, believing that you can. So believing and knowing literally are one. But a person say, I believe it, but then that knowing inside, no. You know what I'm saying? That's KNOW, that knowing, a feeling that,
Yes.
yes, that you can no matter what. But a person, that belief state, there still can be some doubt in there until they see it with their eyes. That's the old programmed pattern. See with my eyes, hear with my ears, when that's actually your false reality. What it is that you have to believe and hear your heart, your solar plexus, which is the portal of emotions, the area right there at your stomach, and trusting without a doubt. But, someone can say, well, I want to get back together with my old partner. I trust and know that I can. Well, that's energy outside of you. That's someone else who has a choice besides yours. And so you can manifest things for yourself. But when you're trying to create and manipulate, let's use that word, other person's energy, it's not going to work the way you want. They still have their own choices as well. So it's really about honoring you, manifesting within you the things that you want for you, and someone can say, I want $1 million. I want to manifest $1 million. But the fact is, if you don't have the value of yourself, that you know that $1 million is easy to achieve, is easy to create, where others are thinking based on their income, their family history, they could think, I'll never see $1 million in my lifetime. Well, delete all of that, because that's not true. That's a story you're telling yourself. So manifesting, I gave you the 3 steps, but thinking, feeling, and taking guided action. So thinking it. So thinking about how that end result looks like. So if you want to live in a palace on the water, why don't you think about what it would look like inside? What it would look like you being inside of your end result, right? Feeling what it would feel like to sit in the living room with those sliding glass doors and looking out onto the water. Feeling that sense of peace and calmness, that sense of accomplishment, that sense of saying, did this, yay, dancing like everybody's watching, but that you can really dance, right? And taking guided action. So here's the perfect example, everyone, is that, and I'm going to go back to this location that I just moved. So I had a 2-year lease, and then I had decided, okay, I'll start looking 6 months before, and I was going to buy a condo and move my studio in there and work out of that. And the economy is a little bit, wobbly right now. Interest rates are a little high. And I couldn't really find anything that would match my needs. So I decided at the end, here I was 10 days before the end of the lease, and I was going to go month to month. I let go of the resistance. I let go of the worry. I let go of the anger that, oh God, I don't want to do that. Nope. I just said I can go month to month and everything is going to be okay. But taking guided action meant I was sharing. I shared with some girlfriends. I shared with clients saying, I'm interested in moving my studio. And that's all I said. I wasn't saying, can you help me? Or, if you see anything, I just simply said, I'm interested in moving my studio. So 2 friends said, oh, I found some commercial space. Well, I knew before COVID that they wanted a long lease, and I wasn't really interested in having a long lease after moving from Potomac. So I said, well, one of them gave me a picture of the building. As soon as I saw it, I knew I was moving. But I live in the space of trusting so much so that I can feel energy in pictures and, in face-to-face contact on the phone. I trust what I feel 100%. So when you get to that place, it's full trusting. So when I saw that picture, go ahead. You want to say
Oh,
something?
no, I'm listening. I'm
Oh, okay, because
listening.
you're like, yes. So I saw the picture and I said, oh, I'm going to move. I started packing my inventory in the closet and taking it home before I even saw the location. I
Oh,
knew it.
wow.
Then I said, oh, it's probably going to need carpet and painting. I called a contractor who does home repair. And I said, okay, I need carpet and painting. I'll come now. I said, no, I haven't seen it yet. He's like, okay. So I went to see it 2 days later after the guy said, okay, I'm available. Now I have 8 days left out of the 10. And I walked in, and what did it need? Carpet and
What?
painting. It needed carpet and painting. He says, the layout was perfect, as I showed it to you before.
Yeah.
Our here, it was so perfect. And I said to the management, I said, oh, it needs carpet and painting. Oh, well, we have to talk about that. I said, don't worry. I already got it covered. Somebody's waiting to take care of it for me. You should have seen his head spin. He's like, oh my God, he doesn't know what an intuitive can do. So I said,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I said, don't worry, I got it covered. I said, just give me a lease. He says, oh, it could take a couple of days. I said, no, get 24 hours. I need to come in here now. I need to do this quickly. Oh, I don't know. I said, come on, you can do it. He did it, got it in 24 hours. Then I brought my guy in to paint, to do the carpet. Now I'm down to 4 days. And out of those 4 days, I had a 2-day training class, 8 hours in each one of those days. I had 2 days to move. When he was finished, I had the furniture out at the front door going, come on, you got to get out. Let's go. I moved in here and voila, I made it happen. But because the key component is I live in trusting everything. We can label it God, higher self, source, light, all that is. I trust that full connection of intuition because that's what I do. I have to be really accurate for my clients, but really accurate for myself. So I have to know that I can trust this. And the way I looked at it, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. If it doesn't work out, then I could just go back. I'll take the things back from my house and back to the other place, and I'll just go month to month. So I just had to let go and trust. Whammo, there it went.
And it's all there, and that's a good question that I know. Yeah. How do people let go and trust? That's a big thing a lot of people can't do. It's just let go and trust.
Yeah. It's all about our childhood, our upbringing. I have to say, prior to my spiritual journey, I had to go through the same thing, saying, I want to be like her. And how can he do that? And, my parents were teenagers when they gave birth to 3 children, and we were not triplets. And my mom was 18 by the time she gave birth to the 3rd one. Seriously. Wow. And we were not triplets. So I always tell people that that's the key component here. So based on that, you have a teenager who has 3 children and a father that drives a long haul truck. So he's not around. So you have a teenage woman who's raising 3 kids technically on her own, because we never saw him maybe every 2 or 3 months, because it was different the way they drive trucks now.
Right.
Back then you couldn't come straight home, and he would drive East Coast, West Coast. And so being able to get beyond my own lack, my own limiting beliefs, an aggressive mom who wanted to make her children strong. And in the end, all 3 of us are entrepreneurs. Yeah, she did something right there.
I was going to say, she did something right if you're all entrepreneurs.
Yeah, she did something right. But, being able to trust yourself is getting past your own limiting beliefs. The limiting beliefs are usually, created before the age of 7 between the caregivers. Doesn't necessarily have to be mom or dad. It could be grandparents, who's ever the caregiver is raising you. And then you have other things that come up. I have lots of clients that end up having the grandmother raise them. The mother had substance abuse or was trying to work, and she was young too. And I could have been in that same situation. My mom was 18, as I said, and she struggled a lot. We ate more pancakes than any human being should be allowed to eat. But I had to be able to overcome that form of lack right? And the form of being able to say, I can do this no matter what. So within that struggle, all three of us, my brother, sister, and I, said, oh, hell no, we're going to make sure that whatever it is that we want, we're going to get no matter what, but we do it the right way. It's about doing it internally. It's about being in service. It's interesting. When I tell people about being in service, you don't have to be someone like me. You don't have to be a nurse or a doctor. You can be in service by talking your friends off the ledge on the phone. You can be the one who happens to be the one holding the grocery store door open and people are walking through. You could be the one that, allows those ones that have one package to come in front of you at the grocery store. That's being in service. But a lot of people don't understand. Oh, there's one more caveat with this. So as I talk to you, we've talked many times. So when I tell you things and I give you golden nuggets, you hold it, use it, say, oh, this is really good. It's working for me. And then you put it in your energetic backpack. And then a girlfriend comes along and you're like, you know what? I have something to tell you, something to share that really worked for me. That's being in service. So you received it and gave it to someone else. So when we all do that, we're all in service. And that really allows people to see things differently instead of thinking that they have to be someone such as myself, or someone that provides a type of service. We all do. Right. We own it and just supersize in it and trust. But, when you're withholding or doubting, very negative, irritable, all of that is very low energy. Nobody wants to be around that. I'll be the first one to run away. I'm like, oh, no, thank you. Because I live high and, vibrational and positive. I'm fully grateful for everything. And there's another key, gratitude. We think, oh, I'm so grateful that you have presented and brought me on as a special guest. I love that. But I'm also grateful for the walls. I'm grateful for this table that's holding the computer up. I'm grateful that I have internet. I'm grateful for my hair looking really good today. I'm grateful for everything. And when we take that to a deeper level, it's like things can come at you and it doesn't bother you as much. Because when you have somebody arguing or triggering with you, or, like, you know what, today's not my day for that. It'll be okay because I'm feeling really great. And I was grateful for waking up. I'm grateful that today is a great adventure because every day is a great adventure for me. And when you're living in that space and supersizing all of that, as soon as we wake up, the first thing most of us say is, oh, I'm tired, because we're still trying to shake the sleepy off, right? Mm-hmm. Turn it into, I am fully rested. I am fully rested. I am fully rested. And you stretch and you say, today is a great adventure. And I say that every day. And literally the way I talk now, yes, it's the same. I run in, I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? And things will come into your head magically. You're going to love this one because I have so many little tidbits and stories to share with you, Karen. But I helped a girlfriend move, and it was the fourth day, and I was exhausted. And I have a tiny little purse and a tiny little wallet. Well, I left the purse open and I had it sideways, and the wallet fell out in someone else who was driving me home from her house. And when I had to catch up with some bills, I opened my purse and my wallet was missing. Normally, most people go, oh, because the first thing they think is, oh, look what all they got to do, right? As soon as I put my hand in my little purse and I saw it was missing, I heard in my head, another great adventure. I heard it so loud. And I said to myself, you know what? If it is in that space where I won't be able to find it, you just replace, you take care of it. Everything is going to be okay. It's not an inconvenience. It's just a convenience of you having to do these extra things. Right?
I love that. I love that. I have to tell you about my gratitudes. I didn't grow up with the positive energy. But that being said, I remember I was challenged to have an attitude of gratitude. And they said, every day you need to list 3 things you're grateful for at least. And I remember when I started, it was like, I'm grateful that, I mean, I couldn't think of anything. And my husband finally said, well, you're grateful you can breathe. And honestly, I
Yeah.
wasn't so sure I was at that point.
Mm.
Okay, I'm grateful I can breathe. I'm grateful I can go to the bathroom. I'm grateful I can drink water. So, I mean, it honestly was bodily functions for like 2 weeks. And finally, I started looking for more things. And as I looked for things, it became more and more apparent. And the more you look for it, the more you see. And they've always been there. We just didn't focus on it. It's kind of like when you fall in love and the whole world is beautiful. Well, the
Yes.
world didn't change. What changed was your love. And
That's
so
right.
that's the way you see everything.
That's
And so
right.
I love that you talk about how you just, this is a great morning. And I'm now
Yeah.
waking up and saying, I am grateful I have the next half hour of peace to commune with my angels, to commune with
Yes.
my guardian, and just to be quiet and to meditate.
Yeah.
And and I take that half hour, and normally I'm jump up and out of the bed, but now I'm like, nope, I'm going to rest for this half hour because my mind is still open from sleeping and dreaming. And that has really been a huge difference in my life.
Nice. I love that. Because, if you think about it, when you start talking to someone who's woe is me and going to the negative, all of a sudden, don't you really start feeling like, oh, this is heavy? Oh, can I see something positive? Oh, do I really have to listen to this anymore? I mean, it
Right.
literally is like that. But when you are talking to people such as what you described and, focusing on positivity and even how you project and the excitement of, then it's like, oh, what does she have? I'd like to drink some of that potion.
It's like, what's in her Kool-Aid?
Exactly.
Sugar-free Crystal Light. And I'm grateful for it.
Yes. Yes. But, it gets into these old paradigms of, well, I'm grateful that you helped me, or I'm grateful that you gave me those flowers for my birthday. But what happened to being grateful just with your life in general?
Yeah.
I love to, I tell people play this game. There's two games, but to play the game of looking around your house, walking around literally everything. So just like your desk, you'll see a pen, a paper, stapler, whatever, and you'll say, oh, look what I've done. I bought that. I was able to manifest or create that. I was able to put that there. That's so convenient for me. Oh my gosh, I love the color of these walls. It really just vibrates with me. Look what I've done and the color I've picked. When you get into that nitty gritty stuff, then all of a sudden you're like, I am pretty good. I am really, really great. I love the way I have done things. And so for people that are looking around, they may be in a home that needs a little assistance. They may rent, or they're in a room or have roommates. And they're saying, well, I'm not happy with my roommates. Well, let's talk about the bed, the pillow, the hot water, right? The clothes that are in your closet, shoes on your feet, right? So instead of focusing on, again, you saw how I went to the negative, the roommates, the one room, and then saying, chisel it down to the other little things that you have, a job you may have. And I just heard somebody said, oh, I just got fired or whatever. If you got laid off or fired, then that obviously wasn't for you. Or you were thinking you were tired of it and you're like, oh, I don't like this job. You manifested your way out. And it ended up being before you really wanted out. That's why I tell people, be very careful what you're thinking when you're going to a place you don't like, because you'll end up causing yourself to be shoved out.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing wrong with removing yourself from a situation. And sometimes somebody else removes you from the situation. Like you said, you manifested that you are tired of being at this workplace. And It's like, congratulations. I told this story on another show, but to me, it was such an amazing event in my life. I have a good friend that I was traveling with on the road speaking, and we did conferences where there were, split classes, so they chose which one they went to. But the opening session, the other speaker and I are speaking, and I don't know how or why, but she mentioned that she was on her seventh marriage or just had her seventh divorce or something. And after the event, a gal came up and just said, "I am so sorry that you have failed so much in marriage." And without skipping a beat, she looked at that lady and says, "What do you mean I failed? I have successfully identified 7 type of men I choose not to live with." She says, "I have succeeded."
Yeah.
And she said, "Not only that, but I succeeded in removing myself from the situation instead of remaining in a bad situation just because I was afraid of being alone."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went, hallelujah. I lost my hair. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to say, where most people would be like, "I got a divorce. What's wrong with me? I couldn't make it work."
Right.
Well, it takes two to tango. And if you're not perfect together, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Right.
You're just not the right people for each other at that moment.
Yeah. I work with a lot of clients or couples, right? And they come to me because they're struggling. And so I work in the subconscious, and together that couple is consciously living. And so when they come in, they, don't understand why they are blasting off at each other, having arguments, right?
Yeah.
And so I will work in that subconscious and say, okay, and there was one very profound one, and it blew my mind because as I was revealing it to her, I was watching him and he was like, what? So when she was a child that was turned over to the grandmother, and so now she has abandonment issues, right? Because you're going to have that. So she's with the grandmother, and somewhere along the line when she was around 6, she was young, she decided that she had to do it on her own because her grandmother was not young. Some of the grandmothers can be young. No, this one was already in her 70s when she has a 6-year-old. She's very old, right? And so she struggled lifting, carrying her, doing all sorts of things. So this little 6-year-old had to figure it out on her own, which meant she had to figure out her emotions. I see a lot of clients that don't understand their emotions. They'll lay on my table and say they're sad and they're in rage because you can see it's full blown, right? And they never were told what that emotion was. It's more common than I ever thought. And so here's this young lady in a marriage, and her husband didn't understand why he said she was saying she was sad, and she is like blasting off on him in rage. So then I had to explain to him as I was revealing it. I said, your grandmother, I said, there's some stuff going on that you just decided all on your own, that you have to figure these things out. She started crying. And I said, but what you don't understand, husband, is that she is telling you one emotion, but she is really feeling another because she doesn't understand it. I said, and so when you're saying, I'm feeling lonely, she doesn't know what lonely feels like because she's literally had to raise herself. I said, so what I want you to do is explain to her what lonely feels like. Touch it in your heart or in your stomach, wherever you feel it for you. And I said, so I have to say, just be a little bit more of a teacher to help her understand her own emotion so that she will now go, I got it now. I'm really not sad. I'm raging. And so he totally, his eyes went all like, what? And she was crying because she clearly understood what I was getting at. And when they came back to me, oh man, they were working it out. They were talking through things. He was explaining how even if you think it was so common and that you would say, not you, Karen, but in general, you would say.
In general.
Right, in general. Like, why wouldn't she understand that? She never knew that. She wasn't taught that. So we can't just generalize that everybody is taught what sadness is, what irritation is, what frustration is, unless a parent or someone guiding them is explaining to them that feeling.
Right.
Crazy.
You know, that is wild. And I teach with my emotional power. I teach RAFPU. You got to first recognize you're having an emotion. You got to acknowledge that particular emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to feel it fully. Now, this doesn't mean you get stuck in it. It doesn't mean you wallow in it. But if you're angry, you've got to feel that rage.
Yes.
You've got to allow yourself to feel it, because until you have felt it, your body and mind will not let you process it. Because the more you deny it and say, no, I'm not angry, the more your body goes, yes, you are. And until you accept it, I'm going to keep giving you those physical cues and emotional cues. So you got to feel it fully, but feel it quickly. You don't need to wallow. And once you've felt it fully, now you can process it. And once you've processed it, now you can use it or diffuse it. If you can use it to move yourself forward and to better yourself, great. If it's something that really isn't a big deal, now you say, okay, whatever, I can diffuse it. It's not a big deal.
Yes.
I now that I understand it, doesn't matter.
Yes.
And so, you know, I love that you helped her identify that rage, because had she not, just telling herself, I'm sad, her mind and body would have kept going. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. And she would have kept spewing out that rage.
And he's feeling attacked. So you just said to, when I love this conversation, because I just had another couple of days ago, and something went down that was unpleasant. And I asked him, what do you want from her? He said, respect. I said, what does that look like? He said, having her there. What does that look like? Together. What does that look like? Love. What does that look like? He stopped. He didn't and couldn't describe love. He just sat right there. The thing is that we can say, I'm having this emotion. But if they don't, again, know the emotion, like, you know, she was raging and her husband was feeling the rage and she's saying, well, I'm sad, and he's feeling attacked, unless that was revealed why she's doing that and not understanding it, it never would have been present. But if he's wanting love from his wife and doesn't even know what it looks like for him, how in the world is he going to keep trying to squeeze it out of her if he doesn't even know what it is? It's like getting in the car and not knowing where you're going to drive, right? Yeah. So it's really, really important that when you're having these partner communications, you know, to say, what does that look like? That is the most key sentence in any relationship. I'll have my girls come up and say, Mom, you know, this is so fun. I want to do blah, 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 whatever they say. And I'll say, what does that look like? And then they'll start describing, because their fun might be like my okay, right? But I want to know, like, is this going to be really fun? Not that I would say no, because I love my girls endlessly. But I would say, okay, you know, it's going to be fun. But my kids have the same relationship as what fun is. But I was just giving you a scenario that unless you know, if someone is saying, honey, can you go to take the trash out? And the guy doesn't take it out for days and he misses the trash pickup. And then she's disappointed. Instead of saying, I'm disappointed in you, she can say things like, you know, when I see the trash building up, it becomes problematic for us. Is there anything that we can do together so I don't feel like that I'm having to constantly feel like, or you feel like you're being berated by me asking on a regular basis to take the trash out, right? Yeah. And so that communication about how she's feeling or how he's feeling, so that it doesn't trigger him saying mom was always telling him to take the trash out, so he's like not going to do it anymore, or not let female adult authoritative figures rule the world, and the wife is like an adult authoritative figure. And so he gets
Right.
triggered all the time. So you really have to understand that, okay, if he's triggered, what is he triggered about? Not just the fact that she asked him to take the trash out, but it's a feeling. And when we really dive deep, when did you feel this feeling last? How old were you? And who were you with? Because in this case, as I said, it could have been the mom. He was 8 years old and he felt attacked because she was constantly telling him to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of you asking those 3 questions to yourself. And then what does it look like when your partner is trying to describe something? Because let me tell you, I did this with another couple. It was about a year ago. And I told her, use that sentence. She came back to me. She goes, I found out more about my marriage, and I've been married 15 years, than I did in those couple of minutes when I said, what does that look like?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, explain to us more about your skills and what you do. I mean, I said you're an intuitive, but you're so much more than that. Tell us more about that so that people kind of get an idea. And we definitely, if you have openings, your waiting list, get on your waiting list to work with you. But I'm going to put up there's your website.
That's
I'm going
my
to put that
website.
up.
Yeah.
But tell us about what it is you actually do.
Yeah. So there is no time and space with energy. So I can work with people all over the world. I have a very strong following in Canada. So I have several Canadian clients right now, and Australia. It's crazy stuff. I love it. But what I do is I really connect to your energy. You do not have to be face to face with me. We could be on the phone, something similar to like this. I have a virtual room, or I do have a studio that we can be face to face if you're in the Metro DC area. And so what I'm doing is I am digging into your subconscious of where that blueprint is. Call it the groove of a record player. It's all in there. Your life history is in your subconscious. And so here you are, you come to me, and most of the people say they're stuck. They need clarity. They're tired of attracting the same thing. They're in pain. Physical pain is an emotional connection. So I just shift the emotional connection, and all of a sudden they have no more pain. So when I'm digging into that, I have superpowers, and yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
you do.
I do. So I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient. So that allows me to see movies in my head. I hear conversations, and not conversations that makes you crazy, but positive conversations that helps me understand what this person is going through. It may be a single word, maybe a full sentence, and then that clairsentient is knowing. So I may be working with you, and I'll say, Karen, this is what's going on, and I know it. I can feel it. It's this like, I got a hold of it, and no matter what you say, I know I am on top of it. And so even though I may be chatting with you, and you'll say like, well, that doesn't resonate. I'll say, well, okay, let me present it a different way. So I'll kind of go to the back door, because people think that, oh, please tell me on January 1st, 1925, and at 5:00 in the afternoon that my grandmother hit my grandfather, and it's not going to be like that. And the limiting belief is not when cannot be are not created because parents were physically or emotionally abusive.
Right.
It simply means that you wanted mom to come to you when you were doing a little twirl, and she was on the phone, and she said she'd be right with you, and forgot. And then all of a sudden you're in the living room with your little tutu that says, I have to be a better daughter. I have to be better. I have to work harder. Then
I'm not as important as.
Yes. And then in your adult state, it'll look just like this. You're at work. You're really proficient. You got your job done. Your coworkers need help. You help them. You go home, and you're like, why isn't anybody else working as hard as I am? I don't understand. Because you, as a child, said you have to work harder to be seen, to be heard, to be better, because mom didn't come. And yes, it is just like that. Didn't come to you when she said she would. It is like that.
Oh, and I'm so jealous about your clairvoyance, I can't say it, clairaudient. I'm the claircognizant, clairsentient. I just know. I don't know
Yes,
how I
the
know. I
sentient.
don't see it. I don't
Yes.
hear it. I just know. And
Yes.
people are like, well, how do you know?
Doesn't matter.
Don't know.
Right. It's
I
that
just
feeling.
know. And
Yeah.
I had a gentleman I did a reading on, not too long ago. And it was so interesting to me because I said, I can see as a youth. And I always say see because people just can't grasp. I know that as a youth, I can see as a youth that you were bullied a lot, but not by your peers. And that bullying has carried over into your adult life. And he went, no, I was never bullied. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this some. And so we started talking and doing some coaching and things. And it finally about 5-10 minutes later, he said, I'm so sick and tired of adults all my whole life, my teachers, my parents, my aunts and uncles. I was never good enough. They'd always tell me I had to try harder, that I wasn't good enough, that I was less than. And I said, and you don't think that's bullying? And he went, oh, I never thought of it that way. And it's like, it wasn't your peers bullying you. You were being bullied, but not by your peers.
Right.
It was being bullied by your teachers, by your parents, by
Yes.
your aunts and uncles.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because sometimes you will say something to someone and you hear it, you see it, you feel it, you know it. And the person says, nope, that's not true.
Mhm.
Nope,
You know,
that's not. And it's like, yeah, it is true.
yes. And I've had, thank goodness, out of 18 years, I've had one person just recently. And I would say, this is what I'm picking up. No. I'm like, well, I'm usually not that far off. So let's try something else. This is what I'm picking up. This is what I'm seeing. This is the movie I'm seeing in my mind's eye. I described it and I said, this is what's going on. Nope, that's not true. So I fired her.
Yeah. Well,
Because,
and
there's only so much you can do, right? Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you do it with yours. I do it with mine. People are like, well, don't you just take anyone to coach? No.
No.
You have to talk with them because if
Yes.
I'm not a good fit for them, I don't want them. If they're not a good fit for me, I don't want them because
Yeah.
I want that 100% success ratio.
Absolutely.
And if you're not committed, neither one of us are going to be happy.
Exactly.
And if we clash personality wise, neither one of
Yes.
us are going to be happy.
Yes.
And so to me, that's really important. And I know that's something you do. And
Yes.
you're not afraid of firing a client.
No, because we're all in. We're all in with
Yeah.
truth, with love. We want the end result just as much as they do. But if they don't want it, then how can we help them? And so we really do have to resonate. People have to come to be ready, willing, and able to be able to receive what we're giving them because
Yeah.
we really want them to succeed, but we can't want it more than they do.
Right. So you do readings, you do coaching,
Mhm.
you do Reiki, right?
I do what?
No? Yes. Reiki?
Right. So, I call it a lily pad. I started with that energy Reiki years ago, but it
Mhm.
opened up doors to create the intuitive energy healing that I do.
Right.
I also do psychic work. I spent 5 years on a psychic website, and I am a medium. So I do talk to the non-physical. I love doing that because it is another form of healing when someone needs a message that wasn't communicated while they were still living. That I get excited about everything, but that one is because I do have a little history where my grandfather, my sister needed help, and it's a long story and I don't know, we don't have time for that, but I do for that because it gives me a complete understanding that person is being healed just by having that communication. So yeah.
Well, it's time we need to wrap up, but this has been so awesome. I need to have you on again because there's so much more I want to hear from you. So hopefully you're open to coming back on because
I would love
know
to.
The audience would love to hear so much more from you.
Love to.
As you're talking, I can think of a couple of people I need to have call you. So don't be surprised if you get a couple of phone calls.
Oh, thank you. I do have openings. So, my schedule changes every day because people call, but you can find me on my website, like what you posted there.
Yep.
And
put up your banner with your email and
email, Facebook, Instagram. I do TikTok videos. I need to get back to that because I do readings from pictures. because there's embedded energy in pictures. So I was doing
Mhm.
celebrity readings. So I was doing that. You should go look at that. Those are really cool and fun. And
Yeah.
you'll see that some of them I did a couple months ago came true. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that because it's in the energy of their field, right? And
Yeah.
you know, but I'm literally out there. If you Google my name, Terrie Christine, you'll find me on various things. I'm been doing Good Morning Washington a couple times, and then actively on Love and Marriage DC on the own Oprah Winfrey Network. So,
Oh,
yes.
that is so awesome. Oh, Terrie, I love and adore you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and stay on for a while. I'm going to leave you in the back room.
Yes.
And then I want to chat with you some more when we're done.
All right, honey. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ta-ta for now.
Oh, she is so wonderful. I know you had a fabulous, fabulous time. And definitely we need to get her on the show again. So I will definitely be arranging that because she's got so much to share with us. Next Wednesday coming up, we're going to set our time to be at 11 a.m. Mountain and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to stick to that time every Wednesday from this point forward. And next Wednesday, we've got another wonderful woman that's going to be joining us. Her name is Marguerite Crispillo. I say it wrong, but that is it, Crispillo. And she was a client of mine and has gone through a lot of things. And her journey is fascinating. And I know you're going to love it too. So that being said, I really appreciate you being here. Without you being here, we couldn't do what we do. And may you have peace and joy in all that you do. Ciao for now.